Let's talk about the Irish guys who fought over the weekend, and let's get to the Brave card first. And Will Fleury, I suppose, was the kind of the cleanest win of them all. The Munster man went in there and got a 3-round decision win. Looked good, to be honest. I thought his striking was good, and his grappling was very good. His wrestling looked good. His clinch, and he won the obviously 3-round decision against an opponent who looked tough, looked like he hit hard. It was a fire hydrant, as Jimmy Smith had called him, a little beast. And Will Fleury did well. So a good performance all around.
Yeah, it was a good win. I did an interview with him over the internet there, and he said he wanted to keep the streak going of all finishes in his career, but this guy was tough. Maybe he wasn't the most Tarek Suleiman, I think you say. Yeah. That's how you say his name. He maybe wasn't the most skilled, but he was really tough, and he took a couple of big shots, and he got taken in a few times, but he didn't seem to get demoralized. He always seemed to be working up. So it was a good test for Will. Like, you need to fight these tough fights when you're just steamrolling through everybody. It's kind of there's a lot of unknowns, but like maybe he can even though he got a dominant win and nobody was doubting the decision, there's a few things he can go back and look at and improve on. And I think he kind of hinted at that himself in his post-fight interview, that he wasn't all that happy with it. So he's still early in his career. He's 4-0 now as a pro after I think he was 8-0 or maybe even more as an amateur. I'd say he's pretty disappointed because he said he was looking for the finish, but I think it's probably better that he got the rounds in. It's better. It's always good to see if you can test your cardio and test your durability, and I think it was a good experience for Will.
Yeah, and for a guy as well who's had so many fights fall out in him, I think it's good to to get that 15 minutes, get more fight time. So yeah, fair play to him. Cage boxing veteran as well. That was a good win. Dylan too. Then I know you didn't see this fight because the stream was given out or came in late.
Yeah, I couldn't get the stream going, and then it was all over by the time I did.
Yeah, I saw it though. It was a very controversial one. I don't know how long it went, maybe a minute or 90 seconds or something, but it was back and forth. Dylan Tuke was doing well. He was looking flowy, as Artem would say, or as McGregor would say, in fact, to Artem. And then he got dropped with a big, I believe, right hand. As you said, the stream was terrible, and the camera work at Brave is just awful. It's, they just move in and out all the time. But you can see him, he got dropped pretty hard with the shot, but immediately recovered, went for a takedown as his opponent kind of came down to land a few shots of ground and pound, and he was going for that. I think he had a single leg, his hands clasped behind, just about to get his opponent either to the cage or push him to the cage or get him down, and then the referee came in and stopped it. It was an absolutely horrendous stoppage, just absolutely terrible altogether. Tuke was 100% dropped hard with that shot, but it was nowhere near being stopped at all. Just a horrendous stoppage. I think he called his opponent out afterwards again, said he wants a rematch, so I think that they'll probably end up making that. But yeah, it was just a bad stoppage, and unlucky for Dylan as well. A guy he took a good bit of time off after his last loss, came back, got a win, and now he's a loss again. He had that very tough fight as well with Adam Vintry it was in England, Liverpool. It was in Liverpool, yeah. It's been a back and forth kind of affair for Dylan Tuke in his career so far. I think John Kavanagh pointed him out as one of his best prospects, and he definitely is one of the best prospects, but it's been a tough one, and this is another big setback for him.
Yeah, I couldn't find a video on it. Brave don't seem to have put the fight video up yet, but it's a tough one to take when you're dropped, but you're still in the fight. You're working. You're fighting back. Like, by all accounts, I obviously didn't see it, but you did, and other people did. He was fighting back by all accounts, and it's a bitter pill to swallow, especially when you've just got yourself back on track and you've flown all the way out there, and it would sting. But like Gus Johnson once said, these things happen sometimes in MMA, and it ended up happening the opposite way, nearly. Maybe not as bad by the sounds of things, but to Dylan's teammate Franz, his opponent had a bit of a case for an early stoppage as well. I think Franz would tell you that himself.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, you saw the France fight as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
He looked absolutely phenomenal in that fight. Just was landing shots all over the place. Dropped his opponent with a big combination. I think that fight, and I think Pete mentioned it on Twitter as well. When that fight hit the ground at the start, it could have been stopped in, but the fact the referee let it on, his opponent was clearly fighting back, and at the point where he stopped it, it was just a terrible stoppage as well. He was clearly still fighting, but I do think that fight was kind of only going one way. It was Franz was eating him up that win, what was it, 2 or 3 minutes maybe, and long enough to see that Franz was way better, but it was another bad stoppage. That fight shouldn't have been stopped at the time it was. But
you could even see on Franz's face, he was kind of had his hands in the air looking at the ref being like, what are you doing?
100%. But yeah, it's Francis is another guy. You know, he was over obviously with McGregor, and I think you mentioned it that he was, you know, giving McGregor maybe not all he could do, but one of his best sparring partners for the McGregor fight. And I know, or for the Mayweather fight, sorry. And I know
he's been a long term. He was there for the Mendez. He's been there for loads of the fights. He's always sparring with Conor, and he's okay. Maybe Franz had a bit of he had a bit of a rocky start to his pro career, but he also had a rocky start to his amateur career, and he ended up being, I think, 11-2 at amateur, winning the IMMAF World Championships, and he's been in there with Conor. Obviously, that's only going to help you going up against somebody so talented on the feet, and then when you go in against somebody maybe not as good, it seems a bit easier. So I think in a couple of his early pro fights, he was kind of going for guillotines and stuff like that. I think he knows that he needs to get away from that and just use his striking, because his striking is really, really crisp, really, really fast, and it's by far the best part of his game. Like, not many people can hang with Franz on the feet.
Yeah, 100%. Then over in Fight Nights Global, and Young took on, you know, veteran Ali Bagatinov, in a 3-round fight, which he lost by unanimous decision. It was a kind of I think Ali Bagatinov, I didn't see the whole fight, but I saw maybe the last half of it. But Ali Bagatinov was dominating it, although Young did okay. But this is two losses now in a row after going 5-1 there in Bama, and he got towards the title there in Bama as well. You know, beat guys like Dominic Wooding, and Young was a guy, you know, he started off his career 1-4, but he's come back and won lots of fights, fought some of the best guys. You know, he fought Brian Moore, Decky Dalton, Alan Philpott, James McErleen a few times, Paul Martin, and as I mentioned there, Dominic Wooding, and a couple of more guys as well. And, you know, 11-10, looking at his record, that doesn't really talk about how good a fighter Andy Young has become, really, does it?
Yeah, he's kind of a similar pro record wise to how Siri was before he kind of rose to prominence. He's fighting all comers, like the guys that people don't want to fight. Like, nobody wanted to fight Dominic Wooding. He was 3 or 4-0 at the time, and he was killing guys. And Andy Young was like, "Yeah, give him to me." And he's going over. He fought Daniel Barres, who'd just beaten one of the best prospects in Ireland, Ryan Curtis, in a good fight. And he loses a majority decision to him. And then all his fights that he loses are close. You said he was 5-1 before the last two losses. It's tough, like, when you're flying over to Russia to fight a Russian, and everybody knows how good Ali Bagatinov is. He's been in the UFC. It's tough to have a really good record when you're fighting all these tough guys and tough in their backyards. You have to be, if you're going to win a decision, you're going to have to win it pretty clearly a lot of the time.